I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm not speaking meaningfully about anything, okay? Because I don't know what the words I'm using are referencing.
Um, the room's open yet again. So if any atheist or Christian or anything of the sort wants to come up, if they have any questions, comments, concerns, um, oh, I do see. Oh, hold on a minute. James. Okay. Well, James. Uh, good
What
afternoon.
up?
So, are you a
How's it going?
I'm doing well. Yourself?
Doing awesome.
Okay. Um, are you still an atheist,
Yeah,
as
man.
you said you were before? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Last time I asked you to explain how it is that there is no God, you provided a fallacy of reasoning. Are you familiar with that? Or do you remember that?
I
It
sure
was the
do.
appeal to ignorance
I still
fallacy.
I still hold that same stance, so you can call it a fallacy. I disagree.
Well, do you know what the appeal to ignorance fallacy is?
Yeah, I do. I do. I do.
Okay, what is the appeal to ignorance fallacy?
If you're claiming that my statement is an appeal to ignorance, I disagree.
Look, James, I don't know how it was at least a month ago that we've last had a conversation. You've had all this time to, even if you didn't know it before, to look it up, and I'm shocked that you haven't done so. Okay, the appeal to ignorance fallacy, okay, is very simple. Is when somebody asserts something to be true merely on the basis that it has not been demonstrated to be false, or conversely, that
Awesome.
something is
Okay,
false
I
if
understand it.
in
So
the
what?
absence merely let me finish, please, because you didn't look this up. You didn't bother to educate yourself on this, so I have to educate you for yourself. I had to educate you for you. Okay, so let me just finish this. It's going to be 5 seconds. Conversely, is that something is false merely on the basis that it hasn't been proven true. Okay, that was the essence of your argument against the existence of God. Okay, so what I want to know from you is, one, do you accept that that's a fallacy? Two, are you willing to admit that that was the argument that you're using?
I'm not sure I quite understand you. What have I
Okay.
interjected that I said? What have I interjected that I said that is true?
You said it was the case that there is no God on the basis that God had not been demonstrated to be real. It doesn't follow that
Uh,
if you deem
she
that
said a,
God hasn't been
actually,
demonstrated to be
I
existent
actually said a
or
lot more
extant.
than that. I said a lot more than that. I have a
Okay, fine.
hypothesis
We'll
that,
do it. We'll do it again. We'll do it again. There is no God because.
based on my hypothesis, I firmly believe there is no God or gods or anything supernatural based on if we are calling this said God a supernatural entity. We currently don't have anything to test and verify this question mark. Once we are able to test it, it now is testable and it comports with our natural realm. Therefore, it's no longer considered supernatural. Therefore, it loses its God quality and supernatural quality. Therefore, my hypothesis stands: no God or gods or supernatural exists. That's my hypothesis.
That's the textbook appeal to ignorance fallacy. Okay, and you used like half the words you used were words that I never
How is
even brought up in this conversation. James, please don't overtalk me. James,
I'm
please
asking
don't
you a
overtalk me.
question. I'm
Okay, let
asking
me
you a
just finish,
question.
please. Let me just finish. Let me just finish. Okay, we've done this. We've done this charade. I don't even know how many
Yeah.
times, and we've gone in
So I
circles. Okay, so
was
look,
going to
look.
appeal to
Let me explain. Let
ignorance.
me explain. Let me explain, please. Okay. All right. Um, what you just gave is the textbook appeal to ignorance fallacy. Not to mention that half the words you used weren't even words that were even brought up in this conversation, like supernatural and etc. Okay, we're not even talking. We're not even talking about that right now. All God means, okay, if you want, you can call it supernatural or not. Okay, all God refers to is a being, a mind, okay, that exists. It's unembodied, of course, not it's not a physical mind, but that exists and that is the source and basis of all things that are. Okay?
Okay. Okay.
Okay?
Cool.
That's all
With that,
that's all God means in this conversation, okay?
okay,
So
great. So let's go.
so
Can we talk?
so let me
Can we talk?
finish. Let me
Can we
finish,
talk?
please. Like
Holy
exercise a
crap!
little bit of self-control. Just a little bit. I
I
let you
have
talk.
self control. I
I
want to
let you
converse
talk.
with you. I
Okay.
want to converse with you.
So what you're telling me, I want to give a rebuttal to what you're saying. Okay? What you are telling me is that because God, according to you, is not testable, therefore God does not exist. Is that what you're telling
That's
me?
not what I said. That's not what I said. No,
Okay, then
you're
you're not
miscommunicating.
then you're not answering the question, because the question I asked you is, how
Answer
is it
the
that there is no
question.
God?
I
No,
did
James, you
answer
did
the
not.
question.
No, James, you did
Repeat.
not.
Can you
Because the
repeat what I
question I
said?
asked you, what I asked you was, what I asked you,
Repeat.
James,
Holy shit, you're
James,
hard to talk to. You don't listen to
James,
anybody
I'm
else,
answering
do
your
you?
question. You just told me to repeat back to you what you said. I'm telling you right now
So
what you
repeat
said.
it.
That's what,
Repeat it.
well, if you wouldn't stop over talking me, I would have done so already. But you're yelling and acting out of control like you always do. Okay.
Repeat it.
Okay. So in response to the question, right? God does not exist
Repeat
because
what I said.
you told me I'm speaking. All right. I'm going to give you one more last chance. You told me that God is supernatural, whatever that means, and that he's not testable slash repeatable. Okay.
No, I didn't
Now,
say that.
the implicit,
You
yes,
didn't
yes, it
repeat what
is.
I said.
The replays are
You're
on.
not repeating.
The replays
I
are
know
on.
that. So can you
Okay.
repeat what I said? Can you repeat
Yes,
what
that's
I
what
said?
you said. That's what you said. And then
No, it's not.
you went on to say that as soon as God
Holy
becomes
shit.
testable and repeatable, then he loses the label of being super. That's exactly what you said. Well, I don't know what you're talking. Do you
No,
have
it's not
memory loss?
exactly what I said.
Okay,
It
James,
is
we're
not
gonna move
exactly.
on. We're gonna move on. That's exactly what you said. That's exactly what you said. You said that I'm almost quoting you verbatim, so maybe you have short-term memory loss. You said that God is, if we were defining God as supernatural, whatever that means, that he's not testable or repeatable, okay, and that once he becomes testable or repeatable, okay, then he is no longer supernatural. I don't know if you want me to like memorize word for word everything you said, but that's the essence of what you said, okay? That God is supernatural, not testable and repeatable, and that once he becomes that, he's no longer supernatural. That's what you said. Now own up to it, or don't be on stage if you're going to have memory issues, right? And I was explaining to you that that's the appeal to ignorance fallacy, because the fact that something, according to you, even if I granted it to you, that God is not testable or repeatable, that doesn't mean he doesn't exist. Unless you're going to give me an argument that something necessarily needs to be testable and repeatable in order for it to exist, which you haven't done either, right? So on both fronts, it's just been a fail, and it's the same argument you've been trying to peddle to me that I've given rebuttal to time and time again. All right. Now, I'm going to give you another chance. If you want to act like someone with self control, then we can have a good conversation. All right. Okay. Are you claiming to me? Well, let's make sure it's clear. The reason I said you weren't answering the question, James, was because you gave a response to the question, but you said it's not actually an answer to the question. Right. When I asked you, is the fact that God is not testable and repeatable, is that determinative of the fact that there is no God? You said no. Right? Then you weren't answering the question, because the question I asked you was, how is it that there's no God? So if the response to the question of how it is that there is no God does not answer how it is the case that there is no God, then you didn't answer the question, right? So do you have a response that when I ask you, does it answer the question, you'd say yes, James? I invited you back on stage, James, so you can come on. Okay. So maybe that wasn't the answer to the question, right? And that would be good, because that was the appeal to ignorance fallacy. So if you want to come up and answer the question this time, and have a calm, cool, and collected conversation, I'd be happy to let you up. So you're invited back on stage, James. I sent you the invite, so come back up. So Jefferson, it looks like you're mouthing off in the chat again. So I'm going to give you one chance and one chance only. This is my policy, okay? So for now, and while I'm the remainder of my time while I'm using Clubhouse, if somebody's going to mouth off in the chat, okay, that's fine. But then you're gonna have, when I invite you on stage, you're gonna have to come on stage and put your money where your mouth is. That's my policy. If you don't want to do that, if you want to be a heckler, if you want to be a hit and run, drive by troller who's just gonna mouth off in the text chat, then you're off the stage, and I'm gonna kick you out of the room. So you're not even gonna be able to listen here. So this is my policy. I'm not worried about you talking garbage, or talking crap about me or anyone else on the stage. But the point is that you're going to come on stage and actually defend your words. Okay. So Jefferson, you're here. Good. So it says, I'm just looking back on the logs here. It says, now we will see J. Robin cram philosophy to fit in his performative fundamentalism. What does that mean?
It means you're a fundamentalist and you treat philosophy like fundamental Christianity. You abuse it.
What does that mean?
You act like if you can prove the validity of or demonstrate the validity of some kind of deductive argument, that it must hold actually, like it's some kind of like magic spell god canon.
If something's necessarily true, then it's necessarily true by definition. I don't know what I'm still lost at where you're getting at here. How am I let's put it this way. What am I cramming philosophy? How am I cramming philosophy into fundamentalism or my performative quote unquote fundamental? What is that even? How am I cramming philosophy into anything?
You're abusing philosophy. You're treating it like it's like.
How am I abusing philosophy?
Well, first of all, you're not really getting it correctly, right? Like listen
Okay,
to you
what am I
guys.
getting incorrectly? Look, stop just giving me these generalities. We just had a conversation. It seems to be the case that you're directly referencing this conversation that was just had. Why don't you give me a specific instance of what philosophical term or concept I abused or got wrong, just as you just said, that I just used? What was it?
You,
What did I get wrong here?
you seem to be incapable of making a distinction between logical necessity and ontological necessity.
Okay.
Right.
What specifically did I get wrong in this conversation? I was just asking Ricardo, okay, to present his case for how is it the case that there is no God, right?
He's regurgitating a long time.
The conclusion of his argument would be that there is no God. Okay. So what did I get wrong here? I barely made any claims here other than to correct him and to give the rebuttals to what he was saying. Other than that, I didn't really make any claims. So what did I get wrong here?
Well, you weren't following what the argument that he was giving. He was saying there was no Zeus based on the fact that the
No, no,
Iliad, the
no,
book,
no, no,
claims
no.
there is
Then
one.
he, no, 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 no. I asked him, how is it the case that there is no God? Okay. So then what you're telling me he wasn't answering my question. Is that what you're telling me? So then what did I get wrong if he didn't answer my question?
Well, you guys,
So you still haven't
you,
answered.
you
So
you
what? So
may have
what?
been
What did
talking
I? What
past
did
each
I
other,
get
but you
wrong? What
didn't.
did I get wrong?
I
What did
just
I get wrong? You said I was getting. You said I was getting something wrong. So what did I get wrong?
you got. I don't think you were paying attention to what he was saying. He wasn't saying God in general. He was saying Zeus specifically
Okay.
due to claims made by the Iliad. That's what he laid out for
Uh-huh.
you.
All right. So then he wasn't answering my question, is what you're telling me.
Right.
Because the question I asked
I
was not
don't know
about
if he
Zeus.
was
It was about
answering
how
your
is it the case that
question or
there's no.
not. I'm just saying that
Okay.
was the claim.
Jefferson. If you're gonna make claims, especially if you're gonna make negative claims about people, I would think that if you have any self-respect, if you have any integrity, you'd take the time and have the um, you'd have the self-respect and the respect of others to actually listen carefully to what both sides are saying, and actually and that your response, that your negative responses would be an analysis, an accurate analysis of what actually transpired. So is your response, what you wrote down in the text that I just referenced, is that an accurate analysis of anything that just happened in this last conversation? Yes or no?
Of anything specifically? No, it's just. I
Yeah.
think it's
So
just
it's
an
not an
observation
accurate
that was general.
analysis. No, it's not. Okay, so it's just a
That's not what
general
I. That's
heckling.
not.
So it's okay. Yes or
Okay, now
no?
you're not.
Yes or
Now
no?
you're not
Yes
listening
or
to me,
no?
J. Robin.
Okay,
Yes, it is an
Jefferson.
accurate
Jefferson.
analysis. It's an
Okay, good,
observation
good. So
on
it's an
your
accurate analysis. Okay, good. So
tendencies,
tell me. So tell
particularly
me. So tell
and
me.
generally.
Specific. So I want to know from this conversation what we did here. What did I do that was incorrect with reference to my use of philosophy,
So you're trying to.
or how did I abuse philosophy?
It seemed like you were trying to get this
How did
guy.
that happen?
I'm trying to answer. Are you going to let me answer, or do you just want me to go?
Yeah. How did that? What was wrong about what I asked him?
So it seemed to me, and you will correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure you will. But based on the conversation you just had with Ricardo, you were trying to shift things over to a conversation about a necessary God as you define it, and not deal with Ricardo's claim about the Iliad being proof for the existence of Zeus.
No,
That's
no,
what
no,
I
no,
noticed.
no, no. That's not what I got wrong. It has nothing to do with what you were saying. You said I was abusing philosophy. Okay, what
Yeah,
about philosophy did I abuse? Yeah, that's not abusing philosophy.
because
So
you wanted to
what
get
did I
back
get?
into
What's philosophical
because
concept was I
you wanted to
incorrect
get
about?
back into arguing about your idiosyncratic definition of God
Okay,
and not deal with the claim
I just
Ricardo was
established
talking
that
about.
that has nothing to do with what you claimed here about me myself. What philosophical concept? What did I abuse in the philosophical world in this conversation? What did I do
Name it.
that was philosophically um uh, undue? What did I do?
Again, I think you
AJ, real quick.
continuously
Wait.
you demonstrate an inability to recognize the distinction
Okay,
between
so you
logical
can't answer the question.
necessities
Wow.
and
Jay, real quick.
ontological necessities.
Jay,
When do
I
you
don't
get
even know
that?
what you're talking about. We're
When
not
do you
talking
I
about
know you don't.
all I'm
That's
doing.
my
All I
observation. You
did.
don't understand the
No,
Jay,
difference
can I
between
ask you a
logical
no,
and
question?
no,
ontological
no.
necessities.
What I'm telling you is that has no relevance to what we're talking about here. Okay, I'm asking you what all I asked him was to demonstrate because the only reason he was speaking about the Iliad and Zeus and so on and so forth was because I asked him if he was an atheist. Okay, so atheism, as we're both aware, in both the philosophical and even the historical, classical layman's text is the denial of God. I was asking him if he was an atheist. That's why he responded. He said, yes, I'm a strong atheist. He said something to the effect, I'm a very strong atheist, very strong. He made that emphatically clear. And then he went on to talk about the Iliad. And so I'm tracking the conversation better than you are. And you said this was an accurate representation of the conversation that transpired. Okay. Now, I seem to be doing a better job of recalling the conversation than you are. And I've had plenty of conversations this morning. So why am I doing a better job of memorizing things than you are? Okay. Um, he said that yes, I'm a very strong atheist. Okay, and that the Iliad and so faith-based versus evidence-based, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Then continuing on to the notion of him being an atheist, I asked him, okay, fine, there is no God because. Then he went on to answer a question that wasn't asked of him, or if he was trying to answer the question, he gave a fallacious answer to the question. All right. So we're on this train of the conversation again for the fifth, sixth, or seventh time. I'm asking you now, what did I get philosophically wrong, or what philosophically did I abuse, as I'm saying that I'm kind of cramming to fundamentalist Christianity? What did I abuse here?
Based on what
And
you just laid
can I
out there,
ask?
you abused the principle
Uh,
of charity, because I didn't hear him actually lay out anything after that. You kept over talking him and rhetorically trying to browbeat what you thought was his point. You kept jumping to
no, that's not
conclusions.
true. That's not true. I asked him if you. So I'm gonna go over the conversation again because you weren't listening, and you make ignorant statements. Based
I'm
off of your
working
ignorance.
I'm on
It's an
break
ignorant
right
statement.
now.
Well, then you shouldn't. Well, then you shouldn't be mouthing off in the chat heckling if you can't take the time to actually understand the conversation, because then what it sounds like is you're just ignorantly pontificating about your preconceived ill feelings towards me because you can't defend your own atheism, right? So then because you're bitter because of that, right? And then you just want to take every opportunity to make it sound as though I'm abusing philosophy when it's not the case, and it's obvious to everyone in the room who has half a brain cell and is actually paying attention, right? So the point is, I'm going to go over the conversation again. I'm going to give you one more chance to explain and to defend your critique, and if you can't, then you're going to be exposed as another example of someone who's heckling from the chat, and I'll put you back down to your shame, or you can continue to do so. Okay, but only to a certain extent, because at a certain extent, I'll just kick you out of the room because you're obviously not someone who's worth the time of day to even address. Okay, so I'm gonna go. I'm gonna do this one more time. I'm gonna do this one more time.
What are we going to do now?
He was brought on
You
stage.
just
He was brought on
continue to.
stage. I'm going
I
to
don't
recap the
need.
conversation. I'm going to recap the conversation. Okay, I'm going to recap the
Why don't
conversation.
you let Ricardo
Then
recap the
I'm going
conversation?
to recap the conversation. I'm going to recap the conversation because Ricardo doesn't have self control. I'm going to
He
recap
doesn't have self
the
control.
conversation.
You
I'm
don't
going to
have self
recap the
control.
conversation. I'm going to recap. I'm going to say this one more time. All right, or I'm going to move you to the audience where you can't. I'm going to give you a chance to speak after I'm done. Okay.
I
If you don't
sincerely
want that,
doubt that. I'll hold you to that.
if you don't want that chance, then you can keep talking over me, and I'll move you to the audience, and I'll have the last word. Okay. All right. What happened during the conversation? I brought him up. I told him he has to have an intelligible name. Then he told me his name was Ricardo. Then I said, okay, Ricardo. Then I asked him, are you an atheist? He said, yes, I'm a very strong atheist. And I asked, then he went on to say, the Iliad, faith-based versus reason and evidence-based beliefs. Then he talked about the Iliad and Zeus and the Bible, and that we can't use the Iliad to prove that Zeus is real, just like we can't use the Bible to prove that God is real, and that aside from the Bible, we have nothing to show that God exists. This, that, and the other. Then I asked him, okay, fine. I knew that was the appeal. I knew that if he was using that as the answer to why there is no God, then that would be a fallacy. So I asked him just point blank, okay, fine. I know that's your position. I want to know, in response to this question, what is your response? So I asked him, there is no God because. They gave me the same response, which is then when I went into, okay, you're doing the same fallacy as before. Everyone who needs to make a claim has to support the claim, has a burden of proof, this, that, and the other. That's exactly how the conversation went down. Now, somewhere along that conversation, it seems, you believed that I was abusing philosophy, that I was cramming philosophy into my quote unquote performative fundamentalism. So I'm asking you now for the eighth time, where did that occur? And can you please be specific? Because obviously,
I was as
uh,
specific as I could. I already told
all
you it
right.
was a
So
general observation, and clearly it triggered you. You are
uh
clearly super fucking upset about it.
Jefferson,
No,
very
I'm just exposing you for the ignorant clown that you are, and I'm making an example out of
I'm
you.
ignorant.
Look,
Did you
it's
understand
obvious.
where Ricardo
It's
was
obvious.
going
Listen,
with
listen.
that?
I'm not actually angry, right? Because I know that I'm in the right here, and I know that you've been exposed as a complete and utter tool and a clown, right? So why would I be angry, right? I mean, because obviously you don't have an answer to the question. What you told me was that I was shifting things around which is not true. What did I shift around? I was the one that came to him first. I asked him the question first, so I was the one that was actually leading the conversation, to put it in those terms. So I was the one that was actually initiating, meaning that it was on my train of thought. It was on my train of justification and reasoning
And
and
so
conversation.
far, I've
Because
only
I
heard
started
your
because I started the
side of the
conversation because
reason.
I started the conversation because I started the conversation by asking him
Did you
if
start
he
the
was an atheist.
conversation?
Yes, I did. I told him he had to have an intelligible name, first of all. He told me his name is Ricardo. Then I asked him if he was an atheist. And then on that same train of thought, I asked him, okay, fine. What is your justification? How is it the case that there is no God? That's what I asked him. So I didn't shift anything around. I didn't shift anything around at all. I started the conversation. I asked him, what is he an atheist? Then I asked him, how is it the case that atheism is true? There's no shifting. Where was the shifting here?
Oh,
Where was the shifting?
did you want me to talk now?
Yes, I want an answer. Yeah, where is the shifting? Where did I shift the conversation?
When did
Because
I say
everything
you
seems
shifted?
relevant to me.
When did I
You
say you shifted the
All right,
conversation?
we're gonna move on.
He's
We're
not
gonna
gonna
move on.
do
You
it.
just told me you just said I was shifting topics around and trying to cram things. Now you're gonna play dumb. You see, look, this is why you can't talk to certain atheists, because they're fundamentally dishonest. Fundamentally, they can't help themselves.
Jefferson, name what the error is in like 10 seconds. Do it, bud.
Right?
And
He couldn't. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna boot him from the room,
overarchingly,
and this
I
will
hate
teach
your
him. This will
guts,
teach him
Big
a lesson.
Robin. I'm just gonna troll you and pick a shot and then whine and complain like a little bitch. So that's all he's gonna
Yeah.
do. Yeah. He's not gonna name
This
where
is souring.
you
This is
went wrong in
souring.
that discussion with a guy.
He couldn't, because he couldn't. He could not.
No.
He was incapable.
I know Dominic was talking a lot in the chat as well, so let's hear what you have to say, Dominic. I see you just said something too, just here too. Is there any aimless claim a theist won't make? Okay. So
I just think
what
you're all
aimless claim is
incredibly
being made
full
here?
of shit. That's it. That's all I gotta say. And the one
That's a
Okay.
question I have to ask
powerful
So
Eric is
argument.
why he thinks lying is worse than child molesting. That's the
okay,
only thing I'm gonna ask Eric.
Dominic. Let's just stay on track here, okay? So you say we're all full of it. Can you be specific, please?
You don't just assert God does not exist because that's the most dishonest
It's a
form of.
question.
That's why you don't see
It's a question.
professional theists. Well, you pose it as more of a demand, and if somebody doesn't meet it, then you just boot them. So it's the most dishonest approach I've ever seen. And so
Okay,
I honestly
Dominic.
don't see how people, I don't even need to play this. The one thing I'd ask is why Darth thinks that. That's the only thing I'm interested in.
So you don't
All
like
this
the question?
philosophical shit is just all irrelevant.
You don't like a question? That's your
Yeah,
main.
you don't look if somebody. I'm sure you're familiar
It's beyond
with
because it's like
modern
I could say
atheists,
God does not
clubhouse
exist
atheists,
because, and you're gonna be like, oh,
Discord atheists. Atheism, just in general, atheists in general present themselves as the height of rationality. You should be glad.
I don't think
You should
any human
be
does, dude.
more than happy at the opportunity. Who's making that noise in the background?
He was. And he fired up
You should
his
be more than happy at the
back there
opportunity
just
to
for
tell us theists how rational your position is.
noise.
Okay, I mean,
See,
unless
it's
you're
not about
scared
that. Actually, it's not about
of
even
answering
being
the
scared.
question,
It's not
I
about
don't
that.
see why
Listen,
you would.
real quick. Listen, real
Wouldn't
quick.
Dominic, you just
Real
scared
quick. I'll
wouldn't
say
want to
this.
answer the question,
Not
Dominic.
not
Please don't
theism
overtalk
or
me.
atheism has a monopoly on
Okay.
All
rationality.
right,
That is where you're falsely
Dominic.
believing.
All
The
right, so
fact that you think
Dominic, are
that
you an
one
Dominic.
Dominic, are you an atheist? Are you an atheist, Dominic?
Gonna
Your mic
mute
is
and
muted.
answer without no background noise, Dominic. Play nice. If you don't, you're gonna be booted.
Dominic, go ahead and answer the question, please. Your mic is muted right now, so unmute your mic and you can speak. Are you an atheist?
why are you repeating yourself? You didn't even hear my answer.
I didn't hear your answer because there was a lot of
Right,
background
because
noise and I
you
couldn't hear anything.
right.
So all
I
right,
just said
can you answer the
agnostic
question again,
atheist.
please?
However you want to word it. However you want to
Are
word
you
it.
an
Agnostic
atheist?
atheist. Agnostic
You're
atheist.
an
However you want to word that.
okay. That conjunction of term. We can just boil it
Whatever you
down,
think.
reduce it down to a very
Whatever you
simple
think.
question.
How about we
Okay.
boil it down to this? Two humans meet and
Do
one
you
says God exists
affirm?
and the other
Do
says
you
prove it.
affirm? Dominic, please. Okay. Please respect moderation here. Do you affirm that God exists? Yes or no?
Oh, so I'm only allowed to talk when you.
You're gonna have a back
This
and
is the
forth
I asked you a
dishonesty of it.
Go
question.
back and forth.
Dominic. Do
I
you
don't
affirm?
affirm or
Why
deny.
are you so afraid of answering
Why?
questions, Dominic?
I just.
I mean, look. Why are you so afraid of answering questions? What's the deal? I mean, I thought you were rational. I thought unlike us, you don't just make
Why
aimless
are you
claims.
afraid to let people talk?
So why are you so afraid
You have to
and
mute
evasive?
people.
All right, I didn't mute you.
You are
So
getting
Dominic,
muted without even being able to respond.
Dominic, answer the question,
Would you
please.
stop
All right.
condescending to me first?
Look, if you are as confident in your position as you are,
Move them down.
no, hold on.
Move them down. He
I
can't tame his
with him.
tongue. He keeps unmuting as soon as I mute him. I'm
hold
doing that
on, because I'm having so.
Shut
Matt,
up for
please.
a moment.
If
So we
I'm
hear J. Robin speak,
Matt,
then Dominic can speak, but Dominic can't wait.
well, I'd like if I'm talking to him, I want to be the one to move him down.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
That's
done that
just
for
what I
3
want.
times of muting him. He was just doing that haphazardly, just unmuting really quick. So I thought, okay, in order for J. Robin to lay it out the case, I got to move him down there at least temporarily. You move him back up.
I wanted to ask a very simple question, Dominic. It's a very simple question. Okay. And if you're as confident in your position as you say you are, I'd expect a clear answer and a quick answer, and not the evasion and deception that we're looking at and we're witnessing right now.
Yeah.
So come back on stage, Dominic.
Yes. If you can't have back and forth, move them down.
I want to say real quick, you have no normative demands on me. Okay, you want to own the conversation, then
Who
we're not
do
going to have
you
it
think you are,
honest
Tom
talk.
Rabbit?
That's what I want to say. Okay.
Look, Dominic. Look, this is not. We're not doing this. Okay.
Oh,
It's a
why
very simple
not?
question. All right, Dominic. It's a very simple question. Okay. Do you believe that God exists? Do you hold that God exists? Yes or no?
What does it matter what I believe, despite the truth of the scenario?
I'm
I will answer
asking.
this.
I'm
I will
asking
answer
you
you this right
your
now.
position,
Be quiet so I can answer it.
Dominic.
I do not
Dominic.
affirm or deny the existence of a universe creator. That is where I stand.
Yeah, you do.
Don't try
Okay.
to
So are
pigeonhole
you?
me.
All right. So are you claiming to be neutral towards God? Is that what you're claiming?
I have
Neutrality.
no knowledge of
Neutrality is.
God, my friend. I have no knowledge of
I'm
God.
not asking you about your knowledge. I'm telling. So
Well,
neutrality
I
towards
can't
God.
make a positive claim if I don't have knowledge.
Neutrality towards God is the position. It's really a non-position
A
that
position. See, this is
somebody
where you guys
neither
are all
affirms that
positioning.
someone neither affirms or denies that God exists.
Do you have knowledge
So
of your
really, it's a
neutrality,
non-position.
Dominic? How about that?
Dominic.
Do you have knowledge of your
Well, hold on.
neutrality?
Hold on 1 second, Matt. Is your position one of neutrality, really a non-position that you neither affirm nor deny God's existence? Is that what you're trying to
So
espouse
let's
to me
see. In
right
my
now, Dominic?
entire existence, 37 years old, I have never encountered anything to indicate to
Dominic, is
me
that
that
what I
the
asked
universe
you?
was.
Dominic, I
Can I
didn't ask
answer
you
a
that.
fucking question without you interrupting me?
Answer my question. Don't answer a question that
I
wasn't
am
asked to you.
answering
So
it.
that's not
I'm
what I asked
answering it
you.
to the best of
No,
my knowledge.
no. I asked you a yes or no question. What you're talking about,
And I'm trying to
being 7 years
answer
old,
it.
has
It
nothing to
doesn't
do with
matter
my.
about yes or no as your pigeonhole.
No.
That's what I'm
Dominic.
telling you not to do to me. If you want an honest conversation, you're going to hear my answer.
It's a yes or no question. Okay, so that means the answer will be a yes or a no. It doesn't have talking about being 7 years old is irrelevant to me. I couldn't care less at this
I didn't say
point in time,
7. You
just
didn't
because it's
hear
not
what I had to
relevant to the
say.
question.
You didn't hear what I had to say. I never
Okay,
said 7.
Dominic.
In my
Dominic, you said you were
37 years
however
of
many years
existence,
old.
I have never encountered the universe being
Okay,
made,
are you
and I've
7 years
never
old?
encountered a universe maker.
Are you? You said in
Is what I'm
7 years
trying
of
to say to
existence. So
you.
okay, look, Dominic.
Why do you have to condescend to people, bro?
Because I'm trying to get to
Why do you
get you
have
to
to
control
condescend to
yourself.
people to talk to them?
I'm not condescending to you. I'm not condescending
It
to
is
you.
extremely
The reason I'm saying your
condescending.
name so much is because you keep talking. You keep talking, and I'm trying to ask you a question. You can't control yourself. So that's what I have to do. What I'm doing. So Dominic, do you believe that there is no God, or do you believe? Sorry, do you
No,
believe
I
that
just
God
told
exists?
you.
Either way,
No,
actually.
I just
Okay, so
told you. I don't affirm or deny it.
you're trying to posit a belief or position of
Why am I
neutrality,
being
correct?
muted? Why am I being
Yeah, don't
muted?
mute him, please.
Why? Who? Like, is
Are
this
you trying to
really?
posit a position of neutrality? I don't know who's muting you. Listen,
I
Because
don't
I
know.
Dominic, I'm
cannot
not
hear you
muting you.
both talk at the same
I don't know how
time.
else to.
Dominic,
Well,
can you
I'm
rein
Dominic,
not given
in
a chance
for
to
a little
talk.
bit? Take a breath,
all
bud.
right.
Take a breath. Dominic cannot take a breath.
So a position of neutrality, or trying to espouse neutrality, is when you say I don't hold to a position either way. So in this case, a position of neutrality with reference to God would be I don't affirm nor do I deny that God exists. Is that what you're telling me, Dominic?
Whatever you want to call it, neutrality. We'll go with that.
Okay. Well, such a position can actually be withheld, or sorry, it can be sustained. It can't
Says
be
you. says you
I'll explain to
and
you
your
why. I'll
philosophy.
explain to you why.
You
No,
let
you don't.
Jay
You
I'll
don't.
explain
Robin
to you
Can I
why,
complete a
Dominic.
finish?
complete sentence,
Can I,
Well,
Dominic. Is
Dominic,
that all right?
Dominic, I'll
can I
explain to you
explain more
why.
than a yes
Okay.
or no to you?
The reason
Can I
why
explain
you
more
cannot
than a
be
yes
neutral
or
towards God.
why is this the
Yeah, you
case?
can.
Can I
The
explain
reason
more
you
than
cannot the reason you cannot be neutral towards God is because whenever you're invoking facts, whenever you say the sky is blue, the apple is red, the orange is orange, whenever you make any or invoke any predication at all, what you're also doing, implicitly or explicitly, is also invoking your model of reality or your philosophy of facts. And
no? I
everyone
deny
does
that.
this.
No, I deny that. Listen, real quick. Two humans
So
encounter each other.
Dominic,
Can I say one
it
thing real
doesn't
quick?
mean anything. Dominic, well, I was in the middle of speaking, and you actually interjected
I'm
with
sorry,
me.
but
Dominic.
Okay,
I had
Well, your
something to
voice
say
so
now.
I'll let you interject here. I'll let you interject. Okay, but
Go
let's
ahead.
make sure it's clear. When I say that something is a philosophy of fact, I'm saying that you have some sort of a model or philosophy around what it means for facts to be the facts. Okay, and that's going to involve a metaphysical reality, something about the broader nature of reality. That's going to be necessary if you're intelligibly invoking facts. But you disagree, so go ahead and explain to me how. Give me a rebuttal
Okay,
to
here's
that
my
what I just said.
situation. Two humans
Hmm.
encounter each other. Sans philosophy, sans all this crap. One of them makes the claim, the positive claim, hey, person number two, God exists. Person number two says, prove it. Philosophy aside, that is all that is at play here.
How can be
Yeah,
philosophy aside when he says prove it?
Dominic. That's not a rebuttal to what I said. Did you understand
No,
what I
but
said?
it's me saying just prove your claim, your positive assertion that a
No,
God
but
exists.
so you acknowledge that what you said was not a
Because I could
direct
be so
response to what I
illiterate in
said.
philosophy. I could be so illiterate in all of this. And I just want a
Dominic,
demonstration
You're
so that I
doing
can
I
have
just
the
philosophy
wanted an
every
assurance
answer
that
to my
single
you
day.
question.
have.
What I just want right now, what I just want is a clear answer to my question and not your emotional rambling. Okay, that's what I want, and I hope that we can have that today. Okay,
Hang on, real
so
quick. I have to let you know this.
Dominic,
I'm doing construction on the side, so I do sound heavy breath because I'm working as well, but
Well, stop
has
doing
nothing to do. I
philosophy,
could care less
Dominic.
about the
Stop doing
emotion in this.
philosophy. You're doing it right
all
now.
right.
Oh no, I'm just trying to say, substantiate the positive claim you guys make.
There's no
You don't just
sans
say God
That's
philosophy.
exists
fine,
because God
Dominic.
does not exist because as if it exists. That's not honest.
Dominic, right now, let's focus. Right now,
I
what I'm
know. I just
explaining to
told you,
you,
prove that positive claim. You're just
right
saying God does not
now, what
exist
I'm
because
explaining.
as
No,
if
Clubhouse
it's
that's a
explains the
established.
tangent.
question.
That's a tangent, Dominic. That's a tangent. Let's
What is it?
try to focus on the conversation here. Okay, I can recall the conversation vividly because it just happened, and I'm surprised that you're not focusing either. Right now, what we're talking about is whether or not you can be neutral towards God. Do you remember us talking about that 5 seconds ago?
And just because you think someone can't be neutral does not make it the case. You can have
Dominic,
all the
Dominic.
philosophical
Are you
baggage you
aware of
want.
the Dominic? Are you aware of the place we are in the conversation right now? Yes or
Yeah,
no?
and I'm aware that you're trying to
Okay, so
say
we're
that
not
I
talking
can't be
about.
neutral.
Right now, we're not
You're
talking
trying
about
to
whether or
tell
not God
me my
actually
position.
exists, Dominic. Right now, at this point in time, we're not talking about whether or not God exists. We're talking about whether or not you can be neutral towards
To
whether
the
or not God
existence of a
exists.
God.
Those are two different. Those are
Right.
two different things. Those are two different
But
things. Okay,
but it's
they're two different
pertaining to
things.
the same outcome of an answer. God existing.
So Dominic, the reason you cannot be neutral towards God, the reason why is because whenever you're invoking a fact, you're going to be doing so with reference to your metaphysic, okay, your worldview, right? What is it that is the makes the
Or
facts the fact? Why are the facts the way they are, right? Or how are
here's a
the facts
fact
the way they are?
right now
Okay,
that does
that
not
is going to
meet
be
your
your
God.
that is going to encompass your philosophy of facts, and every single time you invoke a fact, you're going to be simultaneously, either implicitly or explicitly, invoking your
May I
philosophy
invoke a fact
of
that does not
facts.
involve your God?
Okay.
Can I invoke
Do
one
you
single
accept
fact?
that, Dominic?
No, because
Dominic,
I
you're
can.
not even
No,
listening.
no,
You're not even
no.
listening
Yes, I
right
am.
now. You're not even listening. You're not
Told
even
you.
Yes, I
He's
listening.
not
am. I'm
even
trying to
listening.
This
tell
is what we
you
deal
I
with.
can invoke.
So it's childish. It's childish behavior. Okay, they don't
Let me
care.
invoke one fact without
It's
your
not a
God.
care in the world as to what is that. So it's not actually about having a discussion.
Can I
It's not
invoke a
about
fact
actually
without your
exchanging
God, please?
ideas. It's about emotionally
Can I invoke
bloviating.
one fact without your
And
God?
this is exactly what I would expect from
No,
someone
you
who's a
cannot,
child.
Dominic.
How
No.
old are you, Dominic? Dominic, how old are you?
Oh, dude, yeah, nice try, Darth Wannabe. Listen,
How
let me
old
invoke
are
How
you?
one
old are you?
fact
It's a
without your
question.
God. I already told you. If you listened, you
I
would have
said you
heard
said
earlier.
Are you
I already
7? Are
told
you 7
you.
years old? You're 7.
Okay, yeah, go with it. Whatever you want to believe, Jay.
Yeah.
Listen, I can invoke one
Dominic,
fact
look, we're
without
not
your
gonna play the
God,
Dominic.
and
We're
that
not
would
gonna play this
disprove
game,
it.
Dominic.
Uh,
Dominic, we're not gonna play this game.
Why
Hey,
won't you let
Dominic,
me
okay?
invoke one
Cut
fact?
right to the
Why
chase.
won't you
This
let
isn't the
me
comedy
invoke one
club.
fact?
Dominic.
Why won't
Dominic,
you let me
Dominic.
invoke one
All right,
fact without
look,
your God?
look. I just muted you
I
right
can
there.
do
Well, we
it.
know
Okay.
you
I can
do.
I don't
do
want
it.
to. I don't want to move you down to the audience, but I
Dominic,
will.
we know
Okay.
you. We
But
know you do.
I
you're not
will.
letting me articulate my side.
Dominic, your facts
Because
exist
you're not
within
even
what
because
frame?
you have no clue what was
Yes,
going
it
on right
is.
now. Could you
It is a
repeat back to me
fact.
what I said to you?
It is a fact that I am
Can
not
you
your God,
can
and I know that
Dominic
100%. And I don't need
Dominic?
your
I'm gonna
God to know
prove to
that
you,
fact. It is a
Dominic.
fact that
I'm
I am
gonna
not your
prove to
God, and I
you.
don't need your
Oh
God.
wow,
That
wow.
just prove
Okay,
that. Just prove
you're
it.
just a motor mouth. You're just a
No,
motor mouth,
you
Dominic.
Here,
What is
Dominic.
being
won't
discussed
let
right
people
now,
talk. You won't let me
Dominic.
invoke one
Dominic? What
fact.
is being what Dominic? What is the point
You're
or the
saying that
purpose
neutrality does not
or the focus
you're
of the
saying
conversation
neutrality to
right
God
now?
does not exist and that all facts have to require him, but I can name you one fact
No,
that
that's
does
not what I
not
said. That's not
necessitate your
exact. No,
God.
no, 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 no. No, you had the
Okay,
first
I can
part
follow
correct.
it. You're saying that you can't be
You had the
neutral to
first
God.
part. You had the
That's
first
what you're
part
saying.
correct.
That's what you're saying
No,
is that
yeah,
you
but then
can't be neutral to
yeah, but
God
then
because
we
it's a
moved on to my
metaphysical
explanation.
grounding. Because of metaphysical grounding. But
Hey,
we
Dominic.
ground our
Best
That's not
friend
facts
what I
in
said.
Jesus.
physics.
Stop. Dominic. Dominic. Stop. 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 Everyone, stop. You're not having a discussion.
You won't let it
Dominic.
happen.
Worldview. Stop. Dominic. Stop right now, or I'm moving you to the audience right now. I
I
want you to
don't
stay on the stage. Stop. I want to leave you on the stage. Stop. When Ahmad says stop, that means cease. Okay? Now, the worldview you're coming up against, you're talking to Christian theists. The Lord of glory who created all things says you cannot be neutral toward him. You may do that with some other worldview you run up against and says, well, yeah, you can be neutral towards us, whatever. The worldview you're coming up against, the Lord of glory says in the Gospel of Matthew and Luke, if you're not for him, you are against him. No middle ground with the Lord Jesus, Dominic. Okay?
You're not
So
adding
just
anything
so
to this,
it's
dude. I don't
clear to
believe this.
you, just so it's clear to you,
Could you not
stop. I already warned
could you
you.
not
You want me to
condescend
move
me,
you down to the
please?
audience?
Could you not
I will move
condescend me?
you down to the audience. I gave you 3 warnings.
That's it. He's gone.
Now, stop. Everyone else, stop. You are coming in to a Christian clubhouse. It says Christianity versus atheism. So if you're going to steelman the Christian worldview, you're going to deal with what the words of Jesus said. If you don't want to steelman us, go flail on and railing against Christianity in some other in some other room. If you're going to come up against us, here's what our Lord says. He says, "There's no sitting on the fence with him." I'll coming up to these Christian theists going, "I want to be neutral." I go, "You don't want to steelman Christianity, do you? Not one iota. You do want to steelman your opponent. You want to merely go, well, they believe this. Well, I'll just take the opposite view here. I think I do have middle road, middle of the road with Jesus. The Bible says you do not have middle of the road, sitting on the fence. Well, I'm not for him, I'm not against him sort of position. Jesus says, if you're not for him, you are against him. That's it. If you don't want to tussle with that, just go flail about in some other room, bloviating and wasting breath and air. You're not having a fruitful conversation here. Dealing with someone who just wants to be abrasive and play this faux neutrality, little dance. That's not even biblical. Okay, so we're gonna cut right to the chase. Say if you want to deal with the Christ of Christianity, who says you can't be neutral toward him. If you're not for him, you are against him by default, per his own words. Now you don't have to accept that or whatever. Just go to some other room and ask Ryan against Christianity there. But if you're not even going to steelman your opponent here and said, well, okay, this Christianity thing, the Bible says, and what Jesus claimed to have said, if you're not for him, you're against him. Well, there's no sitting on the fence with the Lord Jesus. None. Okay? We just got to cut right to the chase here. This guy's been wasting, what, almost 5-10 minutes worth of time. Not seeing anything of substance. Want to do this little neutrality dance. I'm sorry, it doesn't work. Just be ironclad about this, okay? And plus, he's giving me a headache. He's not saying anything of substance. He's just railing. Once I ask Ryan, says, if you don't cater to my neutrality, we're done. Well, we've been done 5 minutes ago with this guy, Dominic. Okay? We're done. You're just trolling and ass grinding hard. You want to have a
I
conversation with
see.
us? Go somewhere else. Go ahead, J. Robin.
I see that Hogtie's in the audience. I don't think I talked to him. I think that Darth talked to you guys, and I had to leave. So Hogtie, if you
Yeah,
want to come back
he
up and
chipped
explain
in.
to us your
Yeah,
atheism.
when you were gone, J.
Sure,
Robin.
sure.
Yeah. Okay. So I had to make a point of moderation there. There was spinning wheels. It was like swallowing your own vomit, for crying out loud. It was ridiculous. People don't come in and
Come on
say,
up if
"Oh,
you
the
like to,
Bible says
Hogtie.
this," and okay, I'm going to steel man you guys. Now, if they're not up for that, we're done with them right from the very get go. Okay.
Okay. So Hogtie, there is no God because. Hogtie, your mic is muted, by the way.
Yeah, that made no sense. Why don't they put
Okay.
the unmute in the same place as the join, where the unmute button is? There was a hand. You leave, you come back, it works. Very confused. Yeah. What's on
All
your
right.
mind?
Yeah.
Oh,
I know we didn't
hang
get a
on.
chance to talk to you earlier, so I brought you on stage. So I want to ask you, how is it the case that there is no God?
Yeah, hang on. I can hear you a little bit through the phone, but my Bluetooth hasn't connected. Sorry about this. I will reconnect. Hang on.
Oh, I think I heard that. Try that again. There we are. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
All right. Yep, I can hear you
All right.
now. I don't know. His Clubhouse is new. Bugs. Um.
I'm sure you're no
Yes.
stranger to that
So what was
question. So how is it the case that there is no
the
God?
stranger
There
to
is
that
no God
question?
because.
It is rational to believe there is no God because the evidence lends itself to a best explanation being the God-free universe.
There's no God
You want to
because a
discuss the evidence?
God-free universe is an easier. You're telling me there's a no God because there's a God. The God-free universe is easier to understand, or it's
No, I'm
simpler.
telling you it's rational. Sorry, I interrupted you.
What's
After you
your
finish.
Okay,
rationale?
listen, Hogtie. There is no God because. Can you answer that question, please?
Yeah, I sure can.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. It is to say, it is rational to believe in a no God
Did I ask you
worldview.
about what? Did I ask you about what was rational? Because that's an entirely different conversation. So, please answer the
Okay.
question I asked you. Please answer the
Okay.
question
So
I asked
you're
you.
asking me then. Yeah. Okay. So I can't make that sensible interpretation of your question. Instead, you're asking me to give you the reason that God doesn't exist, like the
There is
physical
no God
cause of God not existing.
because no.
I
Hogtie,
don't know what the
Hogtie.
cause of God not existing
The
is.
conclusion, Hogtie. The conclusion of whatever you say, okay, argument, syllogism, right, needs to
Right.
be there is no God. Therefore there is no God. Okay. Now people prove negatives all the time, right? For example, there is not a elephant serving in the United States Senate at this current
Yeah.
time, right? Okay, and you can perform. You could do an argument. You could do X Y Z to prove that that's not the case. What I want to know from you is how you've determined that it is the case that there is, in fact, no God. So I'll ask you the question again, and please answer the question that's been asked to you and not a different question. There is no God because.
Okay. You insist that my answer has to end with the conclusion there is no God,
Okay,
and I
I'm asking you the
cannot do
question.
that
Please
until
answer
that.
the question I
Okay.
asked you. So you can't. So you cannot answer the question.
Right, because that doesn't represent my belief.
Do you
You
believe that
can't
there is
ask
no
me to
God?
defend that my belief is that there is no God. Yes.
Hogtie, do you believe that there is no God? Okay, good. There is no God because.
Well, as I said, you're misrepresenting my position because you insist. that I
Okay. Do
have
you
to
believe
trot
there is
out
no
a
God?
deductive.
Do you believe that? Let's do this one more time. Do you believe there is no God?
Okay, well, you don't like my answer. Why don't you tell me? Why don't you
Hog
explain
tie,
your
hog
position?
tie, hog
Hogtie, answer the
tie.
question. Do you
Hog-
believe there is no God? Yes or no?
He said, "You believe?" You said, "I believe there's no God." He said, "Good, there is no God because." He's
This
not
isn't complicated.
misrepresenting anything, hog tie. Quit with this misrepresentation game. No one's
There is no God
misrepresenting
because
anyone.
Hogtie.
You can unmute, hog tie. I had to mute you to make that point. J. Robin never misrepresented you at one iota. Okay.
Let's hear it. There is no God because Hogtie.
You have to unmute.
He may just be on his headset and not looking at his device, so he
Possible.
doesn't know he's.
We'll see. Give him time.
I told him he's muted. You're
Yeah.
muted, Hogtie. Unmute your mic.
Right. I shouldn't have had to mute him. That's the point.
Okay, there it goes. No, I heard all that, and you didn't have to. Now, Reverend Slicker, I hope you're here. Hi.
If you didn't make
No.
some misrepresentation claim, I wouldn't have to mute you. He never misrepresented you.
Well,
He
may I
said,
explain how? Yeah.
Okay,
you just
Hogtie,
admitted.
please, Hogtie, answer the question, please. You already told me that your position is that there is no God. There is no God because. Please answer that question.
I do not know the cause of God not existing. There, I've answered that question. You have asked me to
Okay,
provide
so
an
you cannot answer.
explanation.
I didn't ask you about a cause. I just asked you how is it the case? How does it follow that there is no God?
Don't you
Okay,
think the word
so
because
can
is
you
in
answer? Can you answer that question? Can you answer that question?
I can sure answer that question. The problem is, it does not represent my position. Being, namely,
Your position
here's
is
the
that
thing
there
where
is no God.
here's the thing
That's your
you're
position.
misrepresenting my position. You insist that my answer has to be a deductive argument that leads to the necessary conclusion that no gods exist nowhere. That's not my position.
You
I
just told
don't
me your
believe
position
in
is that there is no God. You just told me your position is that there is no God.
that is my position. Yes, I don't believe in
Good.
any god. If you
Good.
ask
There
me
is
to
no God. This is
to it, I'll say,
look. This is the last time I'm going to have to do because you're now it's bordering on the
well,
line
what?
of like gaslighting because you're telling me one thing and then you're contradicting yourself the very next second.
No, because
Okay.
you're asking a
There is no
question I
God.
do not
There is no
raise.
God because Hogtie. You just made it
Yeah,
clear to me and everyone else in the room that your position is that there is no God. Okay.
you don't have
I
to
want you to
kick me. I
explain to us there is no God
want to
because
have a conversation.
yes. Okay. Hogtie.
It's
There is no
rational
God
to
because
believe. It is rational to believe there
I
is
didn't
no
ask you
God
about rational.
because
So now you're dodging the question. I didn't ask you what was
you want a
rational. I asked
justification.
you,
You want
yeah,
justification, but then you don't want a justification.
Hogtie. Answer the question as I phrase it to you. I don't want you to change. Don't change the question. Don't change what I asked you. Answer the question as I've asked it to you. There is no God because. Go ahead and answer that question,
There's no
please.
God.
Don't change the
There is
question.
no God. There. I'm going to say exactly what you said. There is no cause. Sorry. Sorry. I did change the
I
question.
didn't ask you about a
There's
cause.
no.
There is no God
I.
because. Don't change the
I.
question. There is
No.
no
No.
God because.
I misspoke. I misspoke.
Okay.
Calm
There is no
yourself
God
down.
because.
I
There is no God
misspoke.
because.
There is no God because of some reason that I don't know. That is, I literally
Okay, so
do
you
not know.
cannot, so you cannot, so you cannot answer. You can't
Hold
answer
on.
to me
Well,
right now.
give me 30
How it is the
seconds.
case that
Give
there
me
is no
30
God?
seconds. Give me 30 seconds. It's a charity here. Give me 30 seconds. Okay?
Okay,
I guess
okay.
that's
So
okay.
the answer is no. You cannot tell me how it is the case that there is no God, right?
I cannot tell you what the cause of God not existing is. No, I
Did I
cannot.
ask? Did I ask you? I didn't ask. That's not what I
Yes,
asked
you
you.
did. Yes, you
So
did.
answer.
Yes, it
So
is. Listen,
if you change the words of my question again, you're off the stage. Okay.
oh,
Okay,
whatever.
what's the
Make sure it's
cause of
clear,
God not existing? He
unequivocally.
said, God does not
Okay.
exist because.
Okay.
Okay, Matt,
There is no
Matt,
God.
Matt, can I have a moment? Matt,
Hogtie.
you don't have to kick me. It's fine. I'll just go.
Do you understand
Can
basic
You don't
are
have
English?
you
to.
Like,
able
come on,
to
man. Keep your understanding.
are you able to non-fallaciously answer the question that I
Yes,
asked you?
yes,
Yes or no?
yes,
You can. Okay, good.
yes.
There is no God because. Go ahead and answer that
Okay,
question,
am I
please.
able to answer it? That it's going to say you're going to let me say my answer?
I'm waiting.
How much time do you want to give me before you interrupt?
Okay, so you have 30 seconds to start answering the question. If you don't answer it in the next 30 seconds, you're off the stage. Okay.
Well, you're going to kick me anyway because I'm going to give you the same answer.
All right.
It is
Now
rational
it's
to
15
believe there are no
seconds.
gods
Now it's
because that's
15
what the evidence
seconds.
points to. Well, you got to reset the clock because you're talking through my time.
He gave you
Look,
30
you
seconds,
don't know
Hogtie.
my
Get
position.
with it, bud. Come on.
But
Quit
he
being a
didn't give
child.
me 30 seconds, and now
He
you're
said he
talking.
already told you the stipulations. 30 seconds.
Okay, go
Get
ahead.
to it.
Answer the question, please.
You can lay out a lot in 30 seconds, man. So can I. Go
Well,
ahead.
I know. If I had 30 seconds, I probably could.
Yep. He gave you the
I can't believe
stipulation.
you guys conduct yourselves like this, and you think, "Oh,
Come
this is a
on.
good."
Come on. He gave you the stipulation. We're not quarreling over this. Stop.
Okay,
Drop
give me, give
the
me, give me,
childish.
give me a go when I get my 30
Ready?
seconds.
1, 2, 3, go.
All right, there we are. It's rational to not believe in any gods
That's not
because
what
of
I
an
asked you.
okay. See,
So
I didn't.
answer the question, please. Answer the question I asked you.
When do I get my 30 seconds?
Once you start
When you
answering the
actually
question I
say it.
asked you, that's when you get 30 seconds. When you actually start answering the question. Anything other than that, I just count as an evasion and
You guys think
dishonesty.
this is
So go ahead and
conversation?
answer the question I asked you. Go ahead and answer the question. You don't have to rephrase. So notice how you have to try to like rephrase my question, even though my question's already
Yeah,
clear.
because
I've asked it, 5 times because you're not actually rephrasing my question. You're changing the question and then answering the question that you want to answer, and not actually answering
okay,
my question. Notice everyone what he's doing. It's a subtle thing. He does it without saying it.
no,
It's the passive
all
aggressive
right.
kind of
He
gaslighting kind of
did.
thing, right?
He
Contradicting himself.
didn't answer your question.
So
He
so
didn't
so
change the question.
James, I didn't ask for your input. I did not ask for it. Okay. So Hogtie. Don't even rephrase the question because we understand what the question is. Okay, I just want you to just speak on and answer the question, right? So you don't need to change the question or anything like that, right? That's dishonest, as we all know. There is no God because. Go ahead and answer that question, please. Don't repeat the question. There is no God because. Go ahead.
Yes, I'm here. I don't think it was James interjecting. It was Hogtie. That's why I had to mute him.
Okay,
Like,
Hogtie. There is no God
crap.
because.
It's a great question.
Hogtie. There is no God because. Your mic is muted, Hogtie, and unmute your mic and answer the question, please.
Okay, there it is again. When you
Okay,
mute me like
answer
that,
the
there's no
question.
unmute. There is no unmute
Okay,
button, so I have to leave
all
and
right.
come back.
It
I'll
sure
figure that
is.
out.
There's
Okay,
no mute button.
Hogtie.
No,
There is no
we
God
just seen it
because.
3 times. We've just seen it 3 times.
All right,
I'll come
Hogtie.
back.
It's fine.
It was
Okay,
not me who
Hogtie. There's no
interrupted.
God because.
That was
That's
not me.
great. That's fine. Just answer the question, please. There is no God because.
You want me
I'm
to
waiting.
answer that question? There is no God
Yeah,
because
that the question I asked
of
you.
a
Yeah, there
reason
is no
that
God
I don't
because.
know.
Go ahead.
Why? That was super painful. People were in headsets. Oh,
All right. So it looks like we have. I wanted to welcome up Jack, because he's another keyboard warrior. Uh, who I wondered, Jack,
Oh,
do you
yeah.
just want my attention or something? Is that why you just keep doing
You
this? Because
invited
I
me
mean,
up. What do you
honestly,
ask? Why are you asking me that?
because I mean, I'm curious as to why you just like. I mean, do you just like mouthing off in the chat, or is it just because you know my policy at this point, right? So I mean,
Yeah, I think your
what's the
policy is
motivation?
ridiculous.
What's the motivation?
Oh,
Yeah, what's wrong with typing out my thoughts instead of speaking about is one
I'm
manlier
just
than the
curious.
other?
I'm curious. I'm
I'm
asking a
curious
question.
to like how this hierarchy is established between typing and talking.
Jack.
The
Are
little
you gonna answer my
smartasses don't get
question?
away with crap like
Oh,
this.
we're gonna go
Look,
just call each other
this
names,
is a
Matt.
joke.
Can you
No,
spit
you're
the
just a
marbles out of
smartass.
your
I
mouth
mean,
before you start doing that, please?
no, you're just a smartass. You don't actually
Gosh.
rationally debate. You're just a keyboard
Yeah.
warrior. You
I
I
mean,
don't
flounder in
rationally.
audio
regardless.
discussions.
So written text is not rational debate. Got it.
It
Well,
isn't.
Jack.
No, I
Well,
It
mean
isn't.
Jack.
it's
Okay.
trolling.
I'll keep that in
Well,
mind next time I'm reading the Bible.
why don't you explain um how it is the case that there's no God?
I don't hold to that claim.
Oh, so you believe you're a theist?
Yeah, I'm a deist.
Oh, okay. All right.
Funny,
Which God do you
Okay,
believe
yeah,
in?
yeah, yeah.
Which
Matt.
God do you
Yeah, you
believe
want to
in?
play that little Skylar
Which God do
fishing
you
game,
believe
huh?
in, Jack?
What, you want me to argue? I'll argue for
Jack,
atheism. Why is it
Jack,
there is
what
no
God?
Christian God? Because
Jack,
it's
Jack,
incoherent.
Jack,
How is that unclear?
Jack,
Jack?
Jack.
How's that
Hold on a
unclear?
minute. Hold on. Let's make sure we have it. Want to make sure it's a
See
clear
if he can
thought
rein
here.
himself in. It's tough when they
Yeah,
start talking about just spurting.
Jack. So how is it the case that there is no God?
So yeah.
Is that what you're arguing for?
Well, no, you want that fuck.
Okay.
I'll argue that.
You told me you said you told me you'd argue for atheism. So how is it the case that there's no God?
Sure, the Christian God is incoherent.
How?
No. How is it the case that there is no God?
No God, right. I'm pointing out the
Yeah.
Christian
So
God.
there is nothing that is fundamental in mind. How is that the case?
I'm
What
pointing
he's
out the Christian
asking you,
God.
Jack, is
I didn't
how
ask
is
you.
it
I'm not asking you
possible
about
that
the
there
Christian.
is
Hold
no
up.
God?
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
You're asking me
Hold on a
about
minute.
God.
Hold on a
You
minute.
believe
Hold on
that
a
God
minute.
is the Christian
Okay,
God.
Jack. Let's slow your roll, please. Okay. Atheism is a belief that no gods exist. I'm sure you're familiar with that term. I'm sure you're familiar with the definition of that
Sure.
term. Okay.
Hard global
So
atheism,
so talking
anti-theism.
about so talking
Play
about
one.
so talking
You want
about
me
the
to argue
Christian
that?
God, talking about the Christian God does not get you to atheism because there
Yes,
are
it does.
non-Christian. No, it does not because there are
Yes, it does.
non-Christians. Jack, if you don't stop over talking me, okay? There are non-Christians who are also not atheists. I'm also sure you're aware of that.
Yeah,
Okay?
and I
Because
have to
you're not
disprove
an
all that
atheist,
too.
are you?
I would have to
Jack,
disprove all.
Jack. You're not an atheist too, are you?
Correct.
But
I'm
you're
not an
also not a
atheist.
Christian.
Correct.
Okay, good. So, talking about Christianity does not get you to atheism. So, I want to know from you,
Yes, it
how is it
does.
the case? How
It's
is it the
just one
case?
step along the way.
How is it? Okay, if you talk over me again, you're gonna forfeit your right to even be in this room. Okay, so do it again. Do it, please.
Well, I don't
I
No,
beg
no,
of
respect
no.
you,
you.
I
so I'll
want him to.
happily do
I
that.
want to ask
Okay,
him a
all
question
right.
too,
Go
bro.
ahead. Go ahead. No,
I want to
he's
ask him
out
a
of here.
question too, bro. Don't
He's
let
out
him
of
leave.
here.
Fine.
Hold on, bro. Hold on,
I
bro.
kicked him out.
Said he wasn't
He's not
here tonight.
worthy of being in this room.
He
Okay.
was not going to
I
be in
wanted
the
to
room.
ask him a question.
Don't worry, it's
Is
Jack,
there any
bro.
other atheists
Game over.
on the stage?
Game over. Lights out.
Yeah, that's fine.
You've just been completely obliterated publicly.
Shut up while I'm talking, right?
Caught. You've been folded like a chair caught with your pants down.
Will you fucking shut him up? I wanna respond.